Good morning. My name is Susan Hagar, and I am your facilitator today for Soul School Network on Sunday, July the 7th. So, welcome and thanks for joining us. I know there's lots of places you could choose to be in this vast multiverse and all the internet options, online options. And thank you for being here. And if you're listening to the recording, we hope to see you next time. So, happy Sunday wherever you are. And we are very excited to have Dawn delVecchio here today. I hope I said your name right, Dawn, joining us for a delightful talk. And our co-facilitator of Soul School Network, Korianka, will be speaking with Dawn this morning. And we very much appreciate the support we receive from this community and also have facilitators from Michael Swinwood and Dan Keto and Kavita, who perhaps will join us soon. So we would normally start with a meditation, so we'll do that first to sort of bring us all into the same space and get out of our busy minds of whatever the morning has brought us or wherever you are on the planet, your busy day. And so let us take the opportunity to meditate together, and then we will get going and hear from Dawn and Korianka. So I'll turn it over to Korianka. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful. Let's start with this beautiful, relaxing, grounding meditation that is a little bit of a tradition for all of us. This is how we go within and become ready, ready to receive the information, wisdom, and beautiful sharings from Dawn. So we'll start first by relaxing our body and kind of softening our gaze. We might close our eyes if that feels good, and you can take 3 deep relaxing breaths in through the nose, out through the nose as well. In through the nose and out through the nose. And one more time. And now we will start scanning our bodies for any tension there might be, starting at the head. We'll do this together. We'll just observe without making any meaning out of it. Scan the crown of your head, the back of your head, your face and neck, your shoulders too. And we're going to scan one arm and then the other all the way down to your hands. And now your back, from the neck all the way down to the final bone of the spine. You can focus your attention now on your chest and your abdomen. Are there any sensations so far? Any muscle tension? Just observe it for now. Continue with your right leg and foot, and then your left leg and foot. Wherever you found tension, let it go gently by visualizing that it is a white cloud that slides down your body all the way to your feet, leaving your body through the soles of the feet. Perhaps there will be many clouds of tension leaving your body. That's great. You're letting go. And you can feel good about it. Once tension is out of your body, It will be gone and transformed into life-giving energy. Let's take a deep, relaxing breath. In through the nose, out through the nose. Let it feel good. You can stretch your body and make sure you are comfortable wherever you are. You are a beloved child of the earth, deeply connected to her. Notice how your feet are planted on the ground, either physically or energetically at all times. Feeling the earth with the soles of your feet. Feel how your energy grows and extends itself from the soles of your feet towards Mother Earth. You are growing energetic roots that go into the moist, rich soil under your feet, uniting you with the Mother, receiving nourishment. The more your roots extend and go deeper and deeper into the earth, the more you feel deeply grounded and held in love by Mother Earth. Stay present in this moment. You can feel it. Remain grounded and present in this moment. Grounded and present. Grounded and present. You can gently go back to your breathing. In through the nose, out through the nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. And one more time. Now you can slowly open your eyes when it feels good to you and move your body slowly as you come back. Mm. And once again, welcome everyone. Welcome Don delVecchio. We're so happy to have you all here with us and also the people watching the recording. Thank you for being here. You are in for a treat, I tell you. My name is Corianca Cornejo, Incan High Priestess, Medicine Woman, and Sacred Guide for Rising Medicine Women. I initiate and guide sisters, medicine women to step into more fully into their sacred calling and walk in the path of sacred service with more strength. And I am also a Soul School Network facilitator. Thank you for joining us. Today is a very special day. My sister Priestess Don delVecchio is joining us today to speak about the role of the priestess during an ascension cycle, which is pretty much what we're living right now, it feels like. Before we dive into the role of the priestess and I share more about Dawn, um, I just want to make sure that everyone is comfortable and ready to go. I'm happy to see your beautiful faces. Very good. Well, I would like to welcome once again Dawn delVecchio. Your presence is such a blessing, and it makes me so happy that I get to introduce you to our audience today. I have known Dawn for at least 5 years. Time goes by so quickly. And together we started offering the complimentary online gathering, Prayers for Humanity, 4 years ago to assist the process of the return of the light and awakening of humanity. I want you to know that Dawn has a huge heart and is devoted to sacred spiritual and practical service through retreats, online courses, deep dive, soul astrology services, and free offerings. It's an honor to have her in my life and count on her as a colleague and sister friend. For more than 38 years, Don delVecchio, MA, has walked the path of the priestess in devotion of the divine feminine awakening with humanity. Dawn is the host of the highly successful Return of the Priestess annual summit. She walks the spiritual path in the lineage of the Mother Spirit Priestess and is the author of the Amazon best-selling book for women in business, Spirit, Mind, and Money. Dawn is dedicated to her role as priestess and ascension guide, serving women and men who choose to hold the light of love in these times. And now she will share with us the role of the priestess during an ascension cycle. So please go ahead and turn your mic on. Please, Dawn. Um,
Yes.
I'm gonna invite you to share with us to tell us, please, a little bit about your own journey into sacred leadership. We are
Mhm.
listening.
Thank you, Corey, and hello to everyone. It's really an honor to be here. Thank you very much for that introduction and meditation. And it feels good to be grounded back in these energies after a long sojourn. I just was saying to our hosts here that I was in Bali hosting a priestess retreat. And so that's a long way from where I'm based here in New Mexico, USA. So my journey began. So you want me to talk a little about how I came to this? Okay. So my journey began in 1984 when I had a home birth. And there were several of us who had home births, and we started a home birth support group. This was in Connecticut, the East Coast, USA. And then one of 6 women said, "Hey, let's start a mother's group." So we started a mother's group, the aim to talk about organic diapers and breastfeeding and things that new moms talk about. And then we got exposed to things like the mother priest, I'm confusing it, the Mother Peace tarot deck, and some Wicca training. And we began to co-create ceremonies together. And we had naturally already been sitting in circle and passing a talking stick. That had just been, and dancing. Those were kind of the core elements. And so we eventually became a sister circle of spiritual seekers, basically, women seeking a deeper meaning and connecting with the divine feminine energies, the archetypes of the goddess that were starting to come into awareness, at least in the Western world. Eastern goddesses, Western goddesses, African goddesses. We were learning all this stuff. So that was where it began many years ago. And I've had many, many journeys. It's never a straight line, right? Many things. I also spent a lot of time in the martial arts. And I know you know that, Corey, that I have a real, this warrior training aspect that was very significant in my life. But I always had this aspect of my life and an intention to help women empower themselves, and that manifested in different ways. So fast forward to I don't know, I guess 2012 was a big one, and then 2016. And I really felt Divine Mother's call through a series of interesting experiences. One of them was in Bali, where I was called really to step up and lead and to take the things I had been quietly doing in my own life and bring them to the fore, because women were seeking a sacred feminine path to the divine. So that began my journey, or my return to priestess leadership. And several years ago, I reached out to the original women of the Mother Spirit Priestess Circle, those original 6 women. There's only 4 of us now. 2 have since passed, but back then there were 5 of us, and asked for their blessing to take that lineage forward and to incorporate it into my considerable other spiritual and psychological and other trainings to initiate women in the Mother Spirit Priestess line. And they all gave me their blessing. And so that's part of my ministry. My work now is initiating women into sacred feminine practices that also incorporate Christ consciousness, because I'm also a student of A Course in Miracles now for 7 years, something like that. So that's, I mean, there's so many bits, right? So those are like the loose, rough, core pieces, I would say.
Mm. Yes, you are holding a lineage as a priestess. And so I want to ask, the word priestess has many different meanings to different people. Even among priestesses, we have our own
Yes.
take on what a priestess is. Everyone has their own personal take on what being a priestess means. So please share how you see and use the term priestess. What is a priestess to you?
Yeah, thank you for this. So for me if I just had to say it in a simple way, I'd say a priestess is a sacred feminine leader. So we are connected with the sacredness of life, that is the divine, and the sacredness of Earth Gaia and our sisters and brothers. And we are leading our lives rooted in that sanctity, that we are all sacred, beloved children of the one creator, Mother, Father, God. And we live a life not in victimhood, not in passivity, but leading our lives. So a leader doesn't have to be like leaders the way we are, where we're leading communities or retreats or, companies or whatever. It's a sovereign ownership of the decisions we make in our life. It's a claiming of that. So that's the simplest thing, a sacred feminine leader. And there's so much more. To me right now at this time, a priestess is also, we are emissaries of the feminine aspect, the receptive, nurturing aspect of that which we would call God. We are in service to the embodiment of spirit in form, rather than the old religious ideas of, having to escape the world in order to be holy. We're actually, how do we bring that divinity into this experience so that we can emanate that for all of life? So that's another piece I could say.
Hmm. And I'd love for you to share a little bit more about what it's been like for you being in this state of embodying the priestess, and if you have any anecdotes or anything you would like to share about your own experience of walking this path.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, there's so much that's coming in here. So, I've worked with many, many people, brothers and sisters, but mostly women over the years. And I've worked with mystics and very traumatized people and very, aligned people, very grounded people, very etheric people. So for me personally, I'm a very grounded, practical person. I have a lot of earth and air in my chart. So I have a lot of mind and thought and a lot of earthy practicality. And so for me, the experience hasn't always been the mystic. However, I channel because I have this humongous vocabulary and this capacity to ground in and get out of the way and allow spirit to come through, whether that's channeling Divine Mother or specific aspect of her, or the Nagas and dragons or other beings, Christ consciousness. So that channeling is a place where I really feel that sort of trance-like mystic state. But quite honestly, a lot of my life is spent very earthy, very much like I go and commune with the trees. I live in the forest and I breathe with the trees. And I have my clearing my chakras every day and my discipline practices that don't feel like I'm in a mystical interdimensional state. I'm just very earthy. It's like the chakras, meditate, do my Course in Miracles reading, pray, organize the next, whether it's our prayers for humanity or the trainings I offer my attendees to my courses or my priestesses. So sometimes it can feel very mundane in that way. It's like this is that whole idea of And I'm not saying I'm enlightened, but there's that famous saying of before enlightenment, chop wood, haul water. After enlightenment, chop wood, haul water. I have a lot of chop wood, haul water. Not physically. My husband does that. Thank you. But that practical, grounded aspect of like I'm living my life. I'm here on Earth. It's time to meditate and tune in or connect with the plants or just sit and listen to the birds and receive right now we have so much cosmic, plasmic energy coming in, just receiving it and knowing that somehow it's going to integrate into me and it will come forward when I'm in these states, when I'm sharing, when I'm in a trance state, when I'm guiding, it comes through me as the vessel. So one of the things, and I'll conclude this particular answer with this. One of the things I do before every call, I did it before I got online here, before every Mother Spirit class, before our Prayers for Humanity, anything I do, one-on-one client calls, astrology readings, is I have a prayer that I say, which is, Holy Mother Spirit, Sophia, thank you for the opportunity to serve my sisters and brothers. Or if it's a particular client, I'll say their name. Let me be a conduit through which the highest guidance comes and an instrument of your loving will. And that's my set point. That's my intention that I set in order to open and allow what needs to come through to come through.
That's beautiful. I want to highlight what Dawn just said. I totally can relate with that. And every time I am in your presence, um, I can say that I have the joy of being in Dawn's presence a lot when she is channeling, when she is being that conduit of the divine online, oftentimes. And I can witness that every time. And I know what is going on, that one way or another, she is being this channel of the light. And it's just so wonderful to witness that. So if anyone is feeling the calling of serving the divine light in any way, just remember that this is it. This is part of it. Allowing yourself to be a conduit rather than putting pressure on yourself as you being the one doing, you the one coming up with some brilliant ideas and wise things to say is actually about clearing yourself and preparing yourself as a temple, vessel, and channel for the divine light to come through. So thank you for sharing that, Dawn. That was very important. How
Thank
would
you.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're
Go
welcome.
ahead.
How would you describe what an ascension cycle is and why we are in one right now?
Yeah, another important conversation here and a big one. So let me just take a moment and tune in so that I'm clear. So many ways to enter this answer, this conversation. There is in the cycles of time, there are periods of great what could be called a golden age and what could be called middle age and a dark age. And we from the ancient Vedic tradition, we call these the yuga cycles. That's one frame within which you can look at this. From a more Christian perspective or ancient Christ consciousness perspective, you could say that this is a time of what is called the harvest. It's a time when souls that have been learning through duality have the opportunity to graduate. And this does not mean necessarily that we achieve full Christ consciousness and liberate ourselves. But when we have learned many, many things and journeyed many, many incarnations through duality, there comes a point where we're tired of chasing the idols of separation. And we really are seeking a more unified, more peaceful, more joyful way to be in oneness. And when we have done a great deal of forgiveness work, a great deal of releasing our sisters and brothers from our expectations and our own distortions, we have the opportunity to graduate, if you will, to a higher consciousness level. And that's an ascension cycle for the human consciousness, let's say, or the consciousness of beings. I don't know if it's just for Homo sapiens sapiens on Earth. And that, there are many worlds, many places we can live. And we know that there are cosmic sisters and brothers who are living in a higher states of consciousness. They don't live on a poison planet that's full of distortion and war and hate. And that's mostly why they don't want to hang out with us, because we've been in very low frequency here. So right now here on Earth Gaia, who is a being, our beautiful mother Gaia, she is actually ascending as well. She is becoming a planet that is no longer going to be a planet for this deep level of separation, a 3D consciousness. And so as she ascends, we are ascending with her. And I don't know all how that exactly happens, but we are being bombarded right now with light frequency from Father Sun, from Gaia's increasing frequency. And this is causing a great deal of disruption within the psyches of those who have done no inner work, who are deeply steeped in separation and fear-based consciousness. And this is no judgment toward them. We have all been there. Some of us are just really heeding the call to clear up the distortions and the miasmas of separation, fear, hate, judgment, attack. And whether there's lots of paths to that. My path has been in part the Course in Miracles and Christ consciousness, and the devotion of the priestess. So we are in this ascension cycle is deeply challenging for all of us, because we are being called to a new level of consciousness that this planet has not seen in, I don't know how long, maybe ever, I don't know. And that means clearing the shadow material, clearing the fear, clearing the distortion, the trauma. How much trauma, how many generations of trauma. And so those of us who are, you could say, light leaders at this time, the priestesses, some priestesses being part of that, the light leaders, we're clearing ourselves of our personal traumas, of our personal judgments. And then we're doing it for the lineage. And then we're doing it for the collective in order to be conduit for a higher frequency, and then anchoring it into the earth and emanating it into the field and the neighborhoods and families around us. And we're not alone. We're highly supported by galactic sisters and brothers, by ground crew, you could say, those beings who have come, and some of us here, I'm sure, are that, from other star systems in order to be a higher frequency for this ascension. So that's, have I answered that? I mean, I could go on, but I don't want to, go on too many tangents. Do you feel that's answered that question?
It's beautiful. What you have shared, I think, is just what we needed to hear. And I can appreciate that what you're talking about is requiring a lot of courage from the people, from the priestesses, from everyone involved who is wanting to be part of this light movement and
Yes.
be a light leader, right?
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely.
So which takes us to do you have anything else to add to that?
No, I just said
Or
absolutely.
Yeah.
Koryanka,
Yes,
I
please
just
do.
wanna make a comment. All the while you were discussing that answer, here at 10,000 feet in the Andes, a condor, most beautiful condor, flew by, circled. Just say,
Michael, thank you for that. And what you wouldn't know about me is that I am a longtime lover of birds and large birds. And the Andean condor is a bird on my bird bucket list that I've not seen, that I wish to see. So thank you. Thank you. Ah,
Ah.
wow. Wow. Magnificent. Thank you. Deeply
Hmm.
meaningful for me. Mm.
No, this is our next question that really is part of your previous answer. It ties in nicely. What do you see as the role of the priestess during this time, during this ascension cycle?
Yeah. At an individual level, we all have our particular soul role, whether that's teacher, healer, doctor, nurse, mama, gardener, any of the above. So there's our unique, and that will be based on our skills, abilities, interests, talents, passions. But overall, there is a role right now for the divine feminine, because this ascension cycle is coming out of a period of density that related to suppression of the feminine. And I'm not wanting to throw my brothers under the bus. I love our beloved brothers, and we need our beloved brothers as well. But there is a way in which women are coming to the center to lead us through the embodiment of compassion, of wisdom and forgiveness and liberation of the feminine ray of that which we would call God. So that is one aspect, to be an emissary of the divine feminine ray of that which we would call God. And also because the women have the capacity, literally, to, with wombs, to birth new life. There is an energetic that has to do with being the vessel, literally being the vessel through which that divine light can flow. Again, not because the men cannot do that, but because we have a light leader role at this time of initiating that energetic, of saying, right, I will clear myself of the distortions that keep me from the frequency of love, so that I am a clear channel conduit for divine light to flow through me in service to this ascension. So that's what I would say the role of the priestess is. The other aspect here, there's one other piece, is that the priestesses, and I learned this from one of my elder mentors a number of years ago, the priestess holds the field. We literally hold, just like we hold our babies, we hold our loved ones, we hold our families, we hold a field of light for the collective ascension. And we can see it right now, how many spiritual things have been going on for years, where mostly women are in attendance, right? The women have been the ones who've been at the leadership of, like, hey, I don't want to live this way anymore. Hey, I want to heal and clear myself. It's been more challenging for men, because men have had to be the tough warriors, and to let their guard down with other men is a threat. So, as you know, Corey, my husband works with men, and it's a bit slower. So there is a way in which the priestess is holding a field of sacred safety for sisters and brothers alike, to come into a level of vulnerability, of willingness to heal, to transform, and to open and trust that we are supported in this ascension, and that it's safe to awaken. It's safe to come into more unified field of love light, rather than defensive, I have to protect myself from everybody and I got to get mine, and all of those old stuff of the old paradigm. We hold the field, and we serve as emissaries for that divine feminine mother ray.
Mm. Would you say this is a calling for the women, especially at this time, because of how we are more connected to our feelings naturally? In our psychology, in our way of being, women are more intuitive, more connected to that part of us that is the feelings, and also because we thrive in community, we like to be together with other women, and sharing is more natural to us.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. And there, I mean, I feel there's something to touch into here about that. There's a couple things. So, men have been used as fodder for cannon fire for a long, long time. And I'm just really feeling, I'm the mother of a son. I have one son. He's a man. He's been a man he's 40 years old. So he's been a man a long time. And there's a great suffering in the energetic. Now, I believe as souls, we've been men and women. We've been both. We've been gay and straight and, bi and all of that stuff. But the line of the masculine has been so damaged and truncated from each other. The wounding is great, and the healing is needed. Women have had permission to cry, to feel the feels, and to be with each other. And if you just even look at traditional societies, the men go out and hunt and they're silent and they're very monofocused, and the women come together and we talk and we gather and we commune with each other. And so we have different issues. Women, women stab each other in the back. Women tell secrets on each other and hurt each other and excommunicate each other. So it's not like we're all pure beings. We have our work to do too, our healing and clearing work. There's just different energetics. But because women have had, especially in, we would say, the Western, more developed worlds, the opportunity now to be leaders, to be corporate heads, to work, to do all that stuff, to make money, to do that stuff, and permission to feel and express ourselves safely with each other. There's a little bit, it's like we have a few more tools in our tool belt, but it doesn't mean that we're like, like, oh, because we're women, we're all, we're always more connected. No, I mean, part of my work in feminine leadership is helping women to clear the miasmas of the sister wound, the mother wound, the daughter wound, and the betrayal of women against each other. It's different than what men carry in terms of unsafety with each other and not being able to be vulnerable, but it's there as well. So it's not like, oh, oh, well, we're all rosy and nice with each other. No, there's a lot of stuff that we've had to clear and are clearing right now in order to truly be sacred feminine leaders in integrity with ourselves and with each other.
Hmm. Dawn, could you explain how men get to be part of this ascension cycle? What is their role? If they have one, perhaps as priests or something else?
Yeah. Well, I can just speak from my experience as the partner and wife of a man who does men's work, and a little bit myself working with my brothers, with the men of the world. I see, if we just look at the physiology itself, men are built to be strong physically, and in my warrior years, I can tell you that. Training with men as a kickboxer, men are just absolutely pound for pound way more powerful physically. So there's a protector role. There's a protector of the container role that is important for the sacred brothers to serve in at this time. Overall, at this time in the timeline of our experience of linear time in this ascension cycle, what I see is that men have a lot of inner healing work to do. I'm talking generally. I'm not, the brothers here, I don't know you personally. You may well have done a lot of spiritual work and a lot of inner healing work. What I see, the work that my husband does with men, is really related to very fundamental work of clearing trauma, clearing density of deep separation, abuse, neglect, the stuff that makes them be in unhealthy fathers and husbands. So that clearing needs to happen so that they could stand as a man amongst men and serve the feminine, not because the old stereotype, oh, he's a milk toast, he's a weakling and his woman controls him and all that stuff. No, to really serve the feminine as the sacred strong masculine, as the sacred warrior shaman, the strength of the family, the protector role. Not I mean, eventually we don't have enemies. Right now there is, a need sometimes to protect against negative forces, but to be the holder of the mother child, the unit of the growth and nourishment of the family at a individual family level, but as a collective family, as the human family. So I hope that answers it. I don't feel I can fully speak to that because I'm not walking in this world in this incarnation as a man.
I'd like to also ask you to share with us, whatever you would like to share about your own experience of working together with your husband. the divine feminine and divine masculine coming through, and how is that dance happening? Because I know that many women have partners that perhaps are also wanting to step into more of a leadership role and more in service of the light. And maybe they're already naturally doing some of that, but they need to kind of get to see it and know that this is happening.
Yeah, thank you. Well, quite honestly, my husband and I don't lead together at this point. I've been told, and I can see the vision of that possibility. The work I do right now with women is very much, I work with women who have done a lot of shadow work. They've done a lot of healing work, and we're at a high frequency holding high light together. So we don't have a lot of inner healing and clearing to do. And in fact, the retreat I just held in Bali, for example, is really planetary service work. So this is stuff comes up. Hey, we're all still clearing stuff. So, but it's at a more refined level. Whereas the work my husband is doing is very foundational work, the basic stuff, trauma that boys got from daddy and mommy, clearing the unsafety, the abuse, the neglect, the, being bullied when they were kid, this kind of thing. He's working at that level primarily, but he's got his crew of his brothers that he runs with, that they've done a lot of that work, and they're able therefore to build retreats and transformational experiences together because they're working at that level, because they've cleared a lot of that. But at our family level, let's say, one of the things I said to him, we're both in our second marriage. One of the things I said to him when we were dating is, I don't want drama. Did drama, not interested in drama in a relationship, but it's not going to be boring. And I would say that has characterized our relationship through the travel we do, through the adventures we have, walking in the forest, exploring our lives together in different ways. The things we read, ideas we share with each other, what I call the morning coffee ritual, where can I talk? Can I talk? Where we're having a spiritual deep conversation. So that's more how we're living our lives right now. And he does a lot of the physical labor. I have old sports injuries that don't allow me to do physical strong stuff anymore. So if you were to look at us from the outside and not knowing our conversations, let's say, you would see more of a traditional relationship. He does a lot of the physical work. Yesterday, he drove all the way 2 hours to the biggest town to get gutters and organize with the guys who are going to put the gutters up on our house. That kind of practical stuff. Whereas I do more of the housekeeping and cleaning and things because that's what I can do. So from the outside, we look a little bit traditional. But if you listen to our conversations, we talk about deeply spiritual things, high level things, deeply emotional things. We share with each other what our communities are going through. And I hope one day to have to co-lead with him in some way. Right now, that is manifested sometimes in my retreats that I host here. He will talk about the male archetypes to begin to help women understand the shadow and light aspects of the masculine archetypes. Hopefully that answers your question.
And I also sense, Dawn, that at the etheric, spiritual level, your husband and you are doing a beautiful dance together where you are supporting each other while he's doing his work with the men and you are doing your work with also your sisters and the group of people you're serving, that you are together also becoming that strong rock for each other at every step of the way.
Absolutely. And, before he leaves for a retreat or before I leave for a retreat, we smudge each other and bless each other. Yeah.
Yes, I can totally see that. We have some time for people that are here with us to ask any questions, or if you would like to have a little bit of a conversation with Dawn on the theme of the priestess. This is a great time for that. And of course, I know Michael usually also has a beautiful sense of curiosity and so perhaps wants to also chime in. So please go ahead.
Well,
Um,
thank you so much. You want to go ahead, honey?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
First of all, I want to say a deep thank you for such a wonderful, wonderful presentation. Excuse my voice, but it's got some challenges. Your presentation is pure, authentic, and heart-filled. Your observations about the dynamics between the male paradigm and the feminine paradigm are spot on. It couldn't be more spot on. And the concept that we're vehicles, we're vessels, all of us, each and every one of us is a vessel and a conduit for spirit. And to bring ourselves into that knowing and that understanding should elevate the human being into the vocation that you're speaking about. We all have this vocation, and the quicker and sooner we come to that realization, the participation in the ascension of Mother Earth will increase. And that's vital to her ascension. Our consciousness is the consciousness of the divine. That's the consciousness. That's why it was so impactful to me to be sitting here looking out the window as you were speaking about conduit and seeing the condor, because it's a manifestation of spirit speaking to all of us and basically saying, this is very good. So I really appreciate the message that you have delivered here today. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous message. Go ahead, Susan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I agree, of course, just a beautiful message, Don. Thank you. And you know, somewhat like you and your husband, for Michael and I, it's our second marriages, and you know, it's a feeling like we found each other, somebody to share the spiritual path with. And we do seem to go about it in, you know, in a different way in terms of the books we're reading, and yet somehow there's always this meeting of minds, and somehow we're together on it, even though, you know, we may not be looking at it the same way. And I think that's part of the magic, the complement, you know, of the male female experience. And one comment, you know, I'll ask you about is, we talk sometimes about the 7 rays and the ray you come in on. And Michael is very drawn to ceremony. So we talk about the ray of ceremonial magic, whereas I'm not that way really inclined. And so, as if I was to see myself as a priestess, given that, you know, I mean, I'm a businesswoman. I've just ordered your book on Amazon while we're here. I run a business, and but really, it's more that I still see myself as a priestess, and it's the ceremony in my heart. You know,
Yes.
I'm not likely to be doing any particular ceremonies. I, of course, enjoy meditation practice, but really it's the heart ceremony. It's the fire ceremony in the heart that is the ceremony. And so I just wonder if you have any thoughts to share around sort of, I think there's the priestess that I would think of, say, as you and Koryanka and many others I've met. And then there's all of us, really, women that are embodying the light, doing the work, the practice to rise up, to be that love and light within our families and our community. So if you have any thoughts about that.
I do. Thank you so much for bringing this up, Susan. In fact, I have a course called The Ceremonial Priestess to train those women who feel the ceremonial energy to learn how to do it, because I consider myself very much a ceremonial priestess. That's why I love retreats and we dance and I do all these things. But I know not everyone feels that way, and nor do I all the time. I'm a businesswoman too. I run a business too. And this is why I say a priestess is a sacred feminine leader. So you're leading your business, you're leading your life from a place of deeply touching into what is most sacred for you. And what that does is it lets you walk in the world so that your presence becomes a conscious interaction, a sacred, I'm seeing a image of like breadcrumbs being dropped, you're or dropping, it would be more like sparkles, I would say, sparkle fairy dust, or, this priestess energy. Yeah, ceremony and priestess are not correlative, by definition. Some women will feel called to that. We need this energetic in every area of life, mamas and teachers and healers and business and all of it. So very much, I don't see, no one is less a priestess because they're not into ceremony.
Thank you. Yes, it's, I mean, I love, I appreciate it, of course, and
Yeah.
I appreciate ceremony, and I'm not likely to be the leader of it. And I think that's the point, really, isn't it? Is to appreciate what everybody brings in this, container that we're holding, and to
Yes.
really, to just love people, to the best of our ability for everything that they bring, and for the contrast that they bring to help grow me up, to see my shadows and all of that. And of course, everything you said today resonates. It's a beautiful message. And like you said, when we go to spiritual gatherings, it's mostly women, it's still mostly women. And because they hear the calling, they feel it, and they feel it's not really a choice, it's a calling. And so
Yeah.
they're there. And so we support our brothers to feel what we are feeling, because we're feelers, right? We feel so much. And so I love all the messages today. I really love that you said how we're supported by the ground crew. I like that expression of our galactic brothers and sisters, because I do feel very supported, and the messages are just flowing in all the time of things I can't make up. I couldn't have thought of it.
Right.
It's just
Yes.
like coming and coming, and it's like, okay, well, I accept it, as the time we're living in. We need this support from the invisible realm to see us through this dark time. It feels like a dark time for a lot of people. I mean, it's not personally a dark time, but I understand
Right.
that from the human experience, with all that's happening in the world, I choose not to really tune into it much because it doesn't really support me in my journey. But I see that our role is an important one. And so I think you've helped us to see it that way too today. Thank you.
Thank you. Mm.
I'm wondering
Thank
who else might have any questions or comments in our audience. Okay, we have a quiet crowd this morning.
They bought
Corianne?
into everything. They bought into everything that's been said. That's why. But I just want to make one comment one comment, probably a stream of consciousness. But it's been said that the concept of the male dynamic and the male energy is that we're burdened with a bit more karma. And we're burdened with that karma by virtue of past existences and past lives, and working the way through as a male dynamic. The difficulty is overcoming society's view of what the male is, and this hesitancy of the male to embrace their feminine side. And within a perfect relationship like the one I have with Susan, one is allowed to grow. One is allowed to be encouraged into understanding what it means. What does intuition mean? What do feelings mean? All of those things. So the the task for the priestess is being able to assist and hold the energy for the male to catch up. That's what I see.
Yes. Yeah, thank you for this, Michael. This is beautiful. I feel like men have had it really hard because it is not safe to be vulnerable as a man. I mean, you get bullied, you get picked on. I have a son who is he's got a lot of warrior energy, but he's also very sensitive. His moon is in Cancer. He's a feeler, and he had to grow up being a tough guy because he got picked on when he was little. And that whole how to be able to feel the feels, because our feelings are our guidance for our intuition and everything else. And if generations and countless generations of men have been raised to truncate that completely in order to be a machine, can't fodder for the cannon fire, don't feel. This is a heavy burden to overcome. It's personal, it's generational, and it's collective. So it's a lot. And I think this is why we, the priestesses and the conscious women, have to hold a field of deep compassion and patience for our brothers right now. And not try and castrate men for their falling down right now, because it has been so unsafe for so long to even access a little bit. And so they go into addiction, drugs, porn, you name it, or just tough guyism or sports. Like I remember seeing this meme once, unwilling to, no, incapable of intimacy, but willing to talk about sports. These coping mechanisms. So it's really important that we have patience and love, but also boundaries, for those men who are still very deeply in the violence or the thuggery or the addiction. It's like, no, not acceptable. Not going to give permission slip for my partner, spouse, or boss to continue to indulge these toxic behaviors and violate my boundaries. But at the same time, a deep compassion, recognizing how hard it is right now for the men. Thank you for that.
Yes, please go ahead, Sarah.
Hi, pardon me. Thank you so much, Dawn. This has been so wonderful. And I definitely wanted to chime in. I was multitasking there in the kitchen, so I thought I'd take a second and sit down. And it's been interesting, a lot of the things that have been coming up as this discussion has gone on, especially with things that Susan and Michael just said, because they're my parents. And so I reflect on Susan's my second mom, but still also my mom. And I've just been reflecting on where my place is in all of this. I live in New York City. I'm drawn to scenes that are very male dominated. I'm a poet, but I'm also a freestyle rapper. So I'm often involved in the hip hop scene, which is very male dominated.
Yeah.
And often I'll look around me and I'm the only woman in a room, and it's 10 men. And I feel safe. I feel protected. I feel good where I am. Yet I'm very feminine. I'm very fairy-like. I'm very open about my feelings and very electrically charged. And it's just been something that I've been reflecting on lately because of the father that I have. I think that the positive male influences I've had in my life, my father and my brothers, that I've seen the world through this different lens of men being more healed or moving towards that healing. And then the past couple of years, realizing that most men are not there.
Right.
And they're, it almost shocked me, the level of blockage. And also, whoa, wait, sexism exists. That's something, it's been this lately thing. Like Susan, you were just saying about this idea of this fear or darkness that people seem to be experiencing. And what I'm witnessing in my group of friends in my peer circle is this kind of split between people who are really rising up into this idea of ascension and transmuting things and knowing that there's a major shift, that things are not stable, but it's exciting. And then another big portion of people being like, what actually the heck is going on? This is just insane. And it's just, especially living in the US, what we see,
Yeah.
politics and everything. And it's just at this point, it's such a joke that how can anyone believe that anything is real? And so with that, there's this excitement. And then there's this terror because it is such a major shift.
Yeah.
And so those are just, yeah, some of my thoughts, some of the things that came up as everyone was speaking that I'm still processing. And I think the terror is related to that there is a big healing going on and a big shift. And of course, we've spoken about it for years, but now it's like, wow, we're really
Yeah.
in it.
Thank you, Sarah. There's a lot that you've just brought up here but I want to first address something that comes to my heart about this. That Sarah, you are modeling what it means to be a female who has been raised by a healthy father. One of the things that we didn't talk about is the wounding of women who were raised by fathers who are not conscious or aware, and the low self-esteem that we then deal with and all that we have to overcome. So blessed be. Thank you for that. Yeah, this is beautiful. I mean, I can feel it just emanating from you, a level of confidence, a level of certainty, not just because you're working in, the rap world with men. It's a level of self-esteem that many women don't have if they've been raised by fathers who are in that old, addiction, trauma, anger, rage, ooh, I have a feeling, I think I'll get mad, these kinds of things.
Well,
So,
it
yeah.
triggers men though, is this is the thing that I'm noticing now, this self-esteem and power that I bring. A lot of men in this world have literally come up to me and said, step, fall back, stay in your lane. We're the gatekeepers. How dare you? And
Yeah.
it's a shock to me. And it's
Yeah.
only recently that I'm realizing it's this light, it's this power, it's this self-esteem that I have that I need to learn how to be more discerning and balance it, because the men, it literally brings out their darkest parts for
Yeah.
some reason.
Yeah. 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 One quick other thing. I see we have another hand raised, but just this is related to your work in the world. Have you seen the movie Amplify Her? Look it up. Amplify Her is about women in the DJ space. So it's going to be relevant for you. It's fantastic. So anyway, thank you so much. Hey, Michelle, do you want to unmute?
Hi.
Hi, good to see you.
I was just resonating what Sarah was saying about like having like a kind of like a conflict of feminine and masculine energies. Like I look feminine and girly and everything, but I am a sun sign and a Leo, so I do have a lot of masculine energy coming in too. It's just kind of hard to deal with sometimes because it's like conflicting each other sometimes, and it can get really hectic, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, can easily go into an astrological conversation too, because we all have sort of parts, right? We have different aspects of ourselves. And part of this ascension, I think, too, is integrating these different aspects that may come from other incarnations. Like I myself have lived many incarnations as a warrior, and I've done a number of past life regressions where I come out of it, I'm like, oh, another war life where I was killed, killed in battle. Like, really? How about those priestess lives, where I was in the temple dancing? So it's an integration process, but that really is the new human. It's like, yeah, you're in a woman's body, I'm in a woman's body, Michael's in a man's body, all of that, but we really have both. And so learning where those come in and how to dance with them, Sarah's learning it in her world of walking in a world with a lot of men. And it's like we have to recreate and reinvent how this works, because we've been so polarized, even like the colors pink and blue in the Western world. Like, why does pink have to be feminine? we're really reinventing and reintegrating to become whole people. So thank you for speaking into that, because it'll be unique to you, and it's beautiful that you're recognizing that.
Suzanne?
Yes, thank you, Corianka. Did you have anything else you'd like to say before I do the move to the closing?
Oh, Dawn is just so sweet and generous to us that she's willing to do a prayer for closing sacred space today. So I just wanted to say that, Sue.
Oh, terrific. Okay, thank you. What I'll do is I'll just take a moment then before we close. Thank you for that, Dawn. And thank you so much for your beautiful talk and the lovely conversation that was the result of that. I'll just share my screen for one moment and direct our attendees or those who are listening to the recording to the Soul School Network website. And here you can, there's the homepage where you find your Zoom link. There's a resource page, a little information about our facilitators. And also, we welcome you to contact us to be added to our email list. We are going to make some changes to the website to make that easier for you. And also, I'll just point out to you the mantra of unification that we often close out with as well. And in any case, we welcome any donations that you may like to send our way in support of this initiative. And thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Dawn. And again, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for sharing that beautiful condor feather again, Michael. Just thrilling for me. I have a huge collection of turkey vulture feathers. They're not that big, though. Okay, thank you, all of you. I am honored to be here with you today. It's a delight to meet you all. Thank you, dear Corey, my soul sister, and for inviting me to this. So let's just take a moment. This will just be a guided, intuitive closing prayer. So just drop into the heart right now and breathe. Take a few breaths into the heart. So imagine the breath coming in and out. The heart center is like a stargate that connects us to the cosmos, and more importantly, to each other. For as your unification mantra says, we are really all one. So I want to invite us to tune into our oneness. Course in Miracles says, I am the one self united with my creator. We know that the I am words are the most powerful commands that we can have. And so I want to invite us to close today with the words I am on the inhale and love on the exhale. I am love. I am love. I am love. Holy Mother, Father God, thank you for the opportunity to be here with my beloved sisters and brothers. We are one with each other. In gratitude and blessing, though I offer this transmission as a way of serving all of life. May each of my sisters and brothers here in this now moment and other now moments, and all those whose lives they touch, feel the blessing of our love, our gratitude, and our unity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessed be.
Thank you so much, Dawn, for that. It was a deep conversation about the role of the priestess, and thank you, everyone, tuning in. Your contribution is really appreciated. And thank you also to all of you who asked questions and wanted to talk with Dawn, because that really enriches our experience together. Have a wonderful week and see you soon for another beautiful Soul School Network Sunday presentation. Much love.